Hey there guys, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be part 3 of our match play application project. So just stay tuned and we're going to get right into the coding section. So let's just pop over to our local host here and voila. Okay, so as you can see, nothing's in there, and let's just minimize this a bit. So actually, let me know what you guys think about this. Let's see if we can make this a side by side. If this helps more, you guys will let me know in the comment section. So we're just gonna do this, and maybe this helps a little better. I'll be sure to make to do a text wrap throughout. So now we can say div. Let's just try this to make sure. Hello world. Yep, we're all set right here. So what we want to do now is we want to create a components folder within our source. So we want to say new folder, components, and within this components, we're going to be having a couple of components. We're going to have the Navbar component. We're going to have our login component. And if you're beginners, just remember, though this is an advanced project, just remember any component you create with JSX has to have a capital to begin with, unless it's going to give you problems. Register.jsx, card.jsx. And we're just going to use RAFCE. You don't have to use RAFCE. I choose to do so because it's a little bit it's on the what's the word I'm looking for? It's on the it's a great shorthand notation. So, and it does the same thing. So now we can go into so let's just create these four first, actually, and then within our source we want to create something called an auth context.jsx, and this is going to house basically all of our data that, well, it's going to house all of our user API call. So basically, remember in the backend, let's go to server. In our backend, when we did auth controller, we created a user that this user info, we're going to be housing our user info within the auth context, meaning whenever a user's authenticated, we grab the user information and we send it over to AuthContext, which we can then use to enclose all our components and transfer that data, that user information data, which is going to be the first name and the UI user ID, within our components. And that's going to happen in App.js. So let's just keep moving and it'll make sense as we go on. So what we want to do first is we want to import Axios from Axios, and then we want to import use navigate. Let's see, use navigate from React Router DOM. Hopefully we had Axios installed. If not, we're going to have to install that again. And now we want to create our variable, and we're going to call this AuthContext. And we want to say AuthContext is equal to create context, which is a part of the React library. So create context, and then we want to say export const use auth. So we're going to have an arrow function, and this is going to say return. So all we're doing here is returning use context. Use context and auth context. So what we're doing here is we're importing use context and create context from the React library, and then we're going to create a variable called auth context, and it's going to equal this create context. So rather than have create context in here, we're just going to call it AuthContext. And now we want to export, because we're going to be using it, this use auth function is going to equal, is going to be returning, this use context auth context. And that's all we're doing here. And now we're done with that. What we want to then do is say const auth provider now is going to equal children. So whatever is enclosed within our auth context is going to be basically the child, the children. And we're going to say const user set user is equal to use state. So we're going to be using state functions. Use state null. And we want to say const uid and set uid is equal to use state and that. And in a short while, we're going to understand what we're actually doing. Here we're going to use navigate, not use navigate. It's going to equal the use navigate. So use navigate. There we go. So this so actually let's just keep working. So before we do this, we want to configure our Vite here, and we want to add something called the I believe it's proxy. Let me make sure first. So let's go over here and let's make sure. Yeah, we're going to use proxy. So we're going to say proxy. There we go. And we use /user. So I'm just going to grab this actually. We're going to comment it out, so you don't really have to worry that much about it right now. Cool. So it's been commented out. So what we actually want to do is say we want to go over to our routes, right? And we want to create a folder within the, let's not get ahead of ourselves. So let's move out of client. Let's go to server. And within server, we're creating a routes folder. And this is going to house our routes. And I believe I called mine routes. Okay, so rather than, since we're using an MVC pattern or style, we're going to call this views. So it's going to be model controller views. And within views, we're going to have our routes.js. Not JSX, just JS. And this one doesn't matter if it's in uppercase or lowercase. So here we're going to be saying const express is equal to require express. And then we're going to say const routes is equal to express dot router. Is it router? Yeah, I believe it's router. Express dot router. Let's just make sure. Yep, express dot router. So const route is equal to express dot router. Now this route, let's just module dot exports is equal to route. So let's just export this first, and then we're going to go into our index.js. And remember, for our index.js, we're just going to come over to routes right here. And we're going to say const routes is equal to require dot slash views, because it's within views slash route, and it's route. And then down here, I can say, I don't think I have it here actually. Let's see. Okay, that's fine. It's a great exercise. We'll just create it. And here we can come down here and say, we can say app.use. App signifies our express, so app.use, and we're going to be using /user for our where is it, for our route. So anytime we go to our routes, we're going to be using /user. So now we can come back here and actually create our routes. So what we want to say is route.post/register. So it's going to import. Let's wrap this. Cool. So now it's going to import our register from, actually, nope, it did the wrong thing. That's not the register we want. So we want register. Yeah, we don't want from the client. So let's make sure we call this in our auth controller. What did we call it? Oh, it's lowercase. That's why. So in our auth controller, it needs to be in our, this is interesting. Why is it not exported? Let's go back. Let's close all this out. It's because we're using a smaller space. Let's just save that. Card. Let's take that out. Let's take this out. So let's just keep routes open and let's go back to auth controller. And auth controller exports.register. Okay, so let's save this over. And now in routes, it should be register. There we go. Now, so now you can see it. It exported it. Well, it imported it here to our routes.js. So now we have register. And what else do we have? We have let's see, login next. So this would be route.login. Well, route.post/login, and this would be login. So just make sure you're getting it from the auth controller. Now we can say route.get/user-info authenticate. So it's gonna draw that in there also, and this would be user info. And now we can say route.get profile, well, /profile authenticate also, and this would be profile. And then we can say routes.put/profile. Actually, did we create this already? So now we have authenticate, user info, get profile, and update profile. So for profile, we're saying /profile. For get profile, it would be /profile. Here it would be, yep, we were wrong. It would be get profile. There we go. And here it's a put method because this is you're updating. So typically, rule of thumb is if you're going to be updating something, it's going to be a put method. So here you're going to say /profile update. If you have a fancier way to do that, you can go ahead and name it whatever you want. Naming convention here for me, I'm just like playing it pretty standard, but you can basically do whatever you want. So far these are all the, let's see, this is everything we have so far in the auth context. So why are we drawing an error? Module not found, so I must have gotten update profile wrong or something. Let's see. Auth controller. Of course, it's when I close it that it does that. Exports.update profile. Let's see. Module not found. Required. Let's see. Auth controller JS2. Where's the problem actually coming from? Cannot find module bcrypt. Okay, let's see. Number 2, it said bcrypt cannot be found. Bcrypt. That's probably why, because I can't spell. Bcrypt. Let's see. Bcrypt. Yeah, it's because I can't spell. Let's see. Bcrypt. And what else?
Music licensing reimagined.
That should do it. Why did we have to install bcrypt? Let's see. npm install bcrypt. Clear npm install bcrypt. script. There we go. I just can't spell. Let's see. Mongoose. It's not a constructor, so we're getting a ton of these. Why are we getting this? Mode. Oh, model user.js. So let's see. User.
Music licensing reimagined.
So new. So I see the problem is here we just have new mongoose. It should be new mongoose.schema. And let's see, is that, nope, we still have problems here. So auth controller 5, what now? Profile. Oh, I did the same thing in profile. So new mongoose.schema. There we go. So we're back. So just make sure you correct those changes and you should be all set. Booyah. All right. Let's see. Okay, so we should be all set. So profile, close auth controller, close user, routes. Okay, so we're all set. So now our routes is set. So now what we want to do is come back to AuthContext. Oh, sorry. Yeah, AuthContext and also the config. And here we can now say proxy and then an object. And we're going to be saying /user is HTTP. It's not going to be localhost. So we're just going to comment that out. It's not going to be localhost 5000. It's going to be localhost, what this is, 5173. Actually, no, it's actually going to be localhost 10,000 because our backend is running on port 10,000. So we just close out of this. And so because it's going to be /user/ whatever we said in the routes. So /user/ register, for example. So anytime we use a /user, it's referring to localhost 10,000. That's all this is. So this makes Vite so much more efficient, because in Create React App, you kind of have to go into the package.json and set all this up for the proxy. And typically it has errors. It's kind of slow. So this is a way better, efficient way to do it. And just like that, we're done. So now we can close out of this. What we want to do is come back up here. And now we want to go to AuthContext. And within AuthContext, we're going to be grabbing our data. So now we can say use effect. So we're going to be using use effect and say fetch. Actually, we're going to be fetching data, but not until we actually have the data. So we can say const fetch data here. It's going to be an asynchronous function. So we just have a sync right here. Cool. And since it's asynchronous, you should kind of understand we're probably going to be using Axios. So const response is equal to await Axios dot get. And remember, since we already have it proxied, all we have to say is /user info. Yep. And now we can set user to response.data.first name, because that's what we're going to be passing through. And then we can say set UID to response.data. I believe it's user ID. So now if I come all the way back to my auth controller, you can see that for user info, let's do this. For user info, we are sending this back, user.first name. So first name, and user ID. And what we're trying to do in the front end is we're trying to grab it and attach it to a use state, to a state function. So now for catch error, we can set user to null if there's an error, and console.log that error. Cool. Now we can fetch that data. So typically nothing should fetch at this point because for a couple of reasons. So although this is set right now, we still have to say, let's come over here, let's come down here, and let's return it. So return AuthContext dot provider and value, and we're gonna close it out with, there we go. So here, what we're gonna be saying the value is what we're gonna be passing to the children. So we're gonna be saying set user, well, yeah, making set user is fine. Set user UID and set UID. So later on, we're going to be passing the logout component, but right now we're just going to do this. So here we want to say children and do this. And we're all set with our AuthContext provider. So this just means within anything we have AuthContext encapsulated in, we're going to be passing user ID, set user UID, and set UID. So this is basically our control panel, or our mission control, and we're passing whatever. We're using this as a way to write the logic that would pass all this information that we're getting from user info down to our components without having to do this within every single component. So hopefully that's clear. Okay, so now what we want to quickly do is set up our register. Oh, sorry, our database. So let's come right in here. Actually, we have to go in our browser to do that, but we can start out with index.js. So within index.js, we want to, let's do this first. Within index.js, we want to do something called const mongoose is equal to require mongoose. And then we want to do this. So it will give you an error first. So we want to say mongoose.connect MongoDB, which is that's fine. Let's start with this first. It's not gonna work because there's nothing within my environment called MongoDB. But MongoDB, I'm gonna show you what that means. So we're gonna say connect to MongoDB, and then a console log the database is connected. But it's right now the database is not connected, so it's not gonna say anything. And then we can catch the error. So this is what we're gonna be saying. So within our browser, we can head over to MongoDB, and we're going to be creating a database. So sign in, next. Okay, so once I'm done signing in, I'll let you guys see what comes next. Okay, so you guys are probably already in the database. So regardless of where you guys are in the database, what you can do is, what I'm going to be doing is go in. Let's see if I can go the database route. Okay, so I'm already within one of my databases. So all I can do is I can come over to all clusters and actually, sorry, not all clusters. I don't know what I was thinking. Just come over to Atlas. Sorry. So go straight to the Atlas, the logo there, and you just want to create a new project. So new project, let's see, project name. We could just call it match play YouTube. Next, invite blah 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 blah. Just create project. Okay, and now we want to. Okay, so just go ahead and hit database, and you want to just go to build a database. And for right now, you only need the free tier. It's not anything else is not really that important right now. This is just a project, a personal project, so you can just hit free. You don't have to change anything else, and then just go ahead and hit create. Cool. So it's as you can see, M0 cluster provisioning. We're putting the final touches, blah blah blah. Close that, and it's gonna ask you for a username and a password. You can always auto-generate a secure password or use yours. I'm gonna be changing mine, so I'm gonna walk you through how to do yours, and then you can go ahead and just change it later. I'm gonna show you how to do yours using this password, but I'm gonna go ahead and change it later, is what I meant to say. So let's see. It's gonna ask for your IP address. Currently mine's not showing because I don't want you to know what my IP address is, but it's gonna do that. Just go ahead and hit add my current one, and you should be set. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish up mine, and I'll catch you guys once I'm done. Okay, so now that we have our database set, we just need to connect it to our server. So just go ahead and hit connect. You're going to be using a driver. We already installed MongoDB, but if you haven't, just go ahead and do this step. And now what you want to do is you want to grab this this code, and you see where it says password here. You want to change that just where it says password, and this everything from this greater sign, less than sign to greater than sign, everything in there, you want to take it out, and you want to import your own password, like the password that was given to you. You want to place it in there, and you should be all set. So as it says here, replace this whole thing with the password for that. And then what you want to do is you want to come right to Visual Studio, and you want to go to your env and save it as what's it called, as what did we call it here, as MongoDB. So we want to save it under MongoDB. Just MongoDB is equal to, and whatever this is with the password inside. That's all you're doing. And I'll see you guys once I'm done setting mine up. Okay, so once we're done doing that, you should see the database is connected. So once you have your MongoDB, make sure it's in uppercase. If you're gonna do it the same way, within your env within your .env, make sure it's uppercase. If not, if it's in lowercase, then change this to lowercase, and then just have it as const MongoDB. And the next step is we're going to be coming down here, and we're just going to be having this. So I believe this is done connecting, so we can just come down to our terminal here, and it's going to say the database is connected. If not, it's going to throw an error and tell you what the error is, because we console log the error here. So if we come over here and we browse collections, as you can see, we have profiles and we have users because it's connected. So we have, remember, we can close out of this now. We can, let's see. We can come over to, where are we? The model. So here we have profile and we have user. And just don't forget to change this to dot schema. That was the only error we're having. Okay, so basically we're done with that. We can actually just close out of this database for right now. Should we close out of this? Yeah, let's close out of this for right now. And let's just separate that. Okay, so now the reason we had to do that is because when we want to get our user info, we have to have some kind of database that it's pulling the user info from. So that's all we're doing at this point. So now we can go straight into actually. So this is not been exported yet. So we have to export this auth provider. So let's say exports dot, isn't it module.exports? Let me see. I want to make sure it's not different for export default. And that's what it is. Export
Music licensing reimagined.
default. And then it's going to be called auth provider. Bam. Okay, so now it's been exported. And so what we can now do is come over to App.js, like so. Where's App.js? Cool. And rather than having h1 here, we're just going to be importing a bunch of our stuff. So let's come over here and we're going to say import login from, well, it should auto import. I don't know why it's not. Let's see. So let's try that again. Import login from components / login. Yeah, I don't know why it's not doing it automatically, but it should import login, import Navbar. Actually, you know what? I got a better way to do this. So let's just come over here and we're going to be saying auth provider, and it's going to import that auth provider from our AuthContext. And within this auth provider, we're now going to list its children. So now we can say navbar. Oh, I guess it's still not. So we're going to say navbar, but we have to import that. Import navbar for some reason from /components / navbar. Cool. Okay. Now we're working with our routes. So we want to create routes. And what we're going to do is say import routes routes. So we're going to have routes, and navigate from React router DOM. And now to use this, we're going to say routes. So we're going to use this first. And now we're going to route with a singular. So route path. And for the route path, the element is going to be register. I don't know why it's not auto importing, so I might have to close this and open it back up. So give me 1 second, let me do this. So what this is saying is when you go to our to the path with just a slash, you're going to our register page. So this right here would just have this localhost 5173 should just bring you to the register page. So let's try and import that again. That is weird. Typically it just imports from components / register. Okay. And now what we can do is we just do this. So we want to say /login, and we want to change this to login. Here we want to say /hero, and we don't have that yet, so we can just leave it at this for right now. Yeah, we just leave it at this for right now. So these are all the routes we have so far, and the cool thing is, give me 1 quick second here. Yeah, so the cool thing is, now the user info we have is going to be able to work within everything here, because this is classified as children. And remember, in AuthContext, we're able to set all these values within the children, which is everything here from navbar all the way to the last thing in the route. So we're pretty much done with our app.js for right now. This is the most minimal part of it, so we can just jump straight into our navbar, so we can have some kind of we can see actually something going on. So within navbar, actually navbar should already be showing. I don't know why it's not. H1 hello world. Okay, so something's wrong somewhere, because navbar should already be here. So if we refresh this, I don't know why we don't see navbar.
Music licensing reimagined.
Navbar here says hello world. Okay, let's try this. Hello world. Okay, so that clearly works. So it must be some way that we are, let's see. We actually don't need this use state. Maybe we don't need this. So let's see, if I come over here to navbar, hello world, and let's take all this out. Let's see, let's try to debug this. Navbar. Okay, so that works. So I don't know why. Yeah, so that should work perfectly. Did we not get the auth provider correctly? Oh, of course. It always comes down to my spelling. So it's children. Children. So let's search that. There we go. Now we're all set. Yeah, I was like, what's going on? So once again, spelling comes back to bite me. So now, as you can see, we can see the nav bar and we can see register. Why can we see register? Because we are on the home page. So if we go to /login, then we see login, because now we're on a login path. And because we haven't built anything out for login and register, we're just gonna see register. So let's build out navbar first, and then we'll go ahead and do the remainder. So here, what we want to do is we want to not only import React, we want to import use state, since we're going to be using state functions. Use states for React, from React. Okay. Save that. We want to import link and use location. From React Router DOM, we want to import something called use auth from AuthContext. We want to import, let's see, something called GI Hamburger Menu. And this is going to be from React icons. From right here. /GI actually, because we're going to be using it from the GI folder. And then our last one's going to be, well, that's it actually. So now we can say const, let's give ourselves some space here, const user, we're just going to use user for right now, is equal to use auth. There we go. And now we want to say const menu open and set menu open is equal to use state and false. Here we can say const location is equal to use location. Const is registered. Let's just keep it at this for right now. So const location is equal to use location. So now what we want to build out is, let's open this up. So now what we want to build out is, let's open this up and let's head over to our terminal. Let's say np cd into server, clear npm run start. And here we're going to cd into client and we're going to say npm run dev. And we're just going to open this one also. We can minimize this. And we want to build out this navigation. And as you can see, when you open it, when you maximize it, it shows login here. And when you minimize it, it shows the hamburger menu here. And that's why we're going to be implementing this hamburger menu here. We can close out of this now. And we can just stop this from running. Cool. So what we want to do now is say, and that's what this menu open is doing also, this hamburger menu, that's its role right now. And location, use location is a function that we're going to be using to let us know where exactly we are on the browser. So to begin with, let's just build out the structure of our page before we need anything else. We're just going to say div class name is relative because we're going to be moving a positioning, and now we're going to use nav. And this is all semantics. It's just a proper way to define our navigation. Our top is going to be 0. Our left is going to be 0. Right 0. Background is going to be black. Width is going to be full. Height is going to be 16. Flex items center. There we go. And let's actually do this. Well, we can't yet. So flex item center, justify. I was going to lint it, but can't do that right now. We're just going to justify between, actually. Our text is going to be white since our background is black. Z index is going to be 50. Pattern X is going to be 4. Now let's see if we can lint it. There we go. And for some reason we don't see anything. There we go. Okay. Hold up. Do we have to constantly do that? Let's just make sure we don't have to keep doing that. Okay, so now we can now open up a div, and this div class name is going to be flex items center space x 4. Yeah, that's fine. And within this div, we're going to use link, and we're going to be linking to user. So actually that should be equal here. We're going to be linking to user, and we're going to be saying if there is a user, so if we're able to get a user from the database, then we want it to we want our user, not our user, we want our logo, because this is going to be for our logo. I don't know why I just did that, but it's going to be for our logo here. Yeah, so we're going to have a logo here. Actually, let me I thought it was wide before, and let's widen it up. So our logo is going to be here, and our hamburger menu or our login is going to be here. Both actually, you're going to be here depending on the size of the screen. So that's all we're doing here. And so if there's a user, we want when we click our logo to go to the hero page, meaning our main home page, our main hero page, which we don't have yet. But if we don't have a user, then we want to route that person back to the login page because they need to log in. So if you're logged in, you want to go to the main page. If you're not, you want to go back to the if you're logged in, you want to go to the main page. If you're not, you want to be able to go to the main page, so you're going to log in. So you want to say text large, font is bold, hover is text green. And remember, I'm building this for tennis, so I'm just going to be using tennis style colors. If you're using it for basketball, you can go ahead and pick orange or something. And this is going to say match play. There you go. So since I'm not, there's no user in the database, it's going to go right to login. And we can try that again. There's no user, so it goes right to login. And all we're saying is link to login. So if there's a user, go to home, go to the hero page. If there's not, go to the login. That's all we're doing here. And that's that for the first part. So now we have to go in and get the second part. I said go in. Now we have to create the second part, which is not if there's a user, but depending on the size of the screen, how do we maneuver or navigate our navbar? So do we have a hamburger menu showing at a certain size, or do we block it and hide it at a certain size? So that's what we're going to be building right now. So we want to create another div, and within this div, we want to say class name is on a large screen, it's hidden. So anytime we're on a large screen, it's going to be hidden. We want the hamburger menu with a class name of cursor pointer and text to Excel. Oh, we did not close out of that. So let's do this. There we go. So on a large screen, it's not there. On a not a large screen, there we go. And we're going to add on-click functionality later, but for right now, we can just leave it at this. And then we just close out the div. So that's as simple as that gets. And now we can write for the rest of it. So for this, we can say div class name, and we're going to put all this within an object. We're going to say hidden, large. We want it flexed. We want the items to be centered. We want the space to be X and 4. And if there's a user, then we want an empty string. If not, we want it hidden. So we'll see what that does in a sec. So if there's a user, then we want to say, let's go right here, link to /profile. Link to /profile. And we're going to put class name of nav link hover text green 300.
Artlist.io.
And we want the h1 to be profile. So on large screen it's hidden, just like the hamburger menu. So on the small screen, let's see.
Music licensing.
Well, there's no functionality for it yet. What this is saying is we want this div to be hidden when the user is not available. So if the user is available, then we don't want it hidden. If there's no user, then we want it hidden. So when it's not hidden, we want to on a large screen, we want to incorporate the flex box and have it flexed with the item center and the space. So if there is a user and it's not hidden, then we want to show the link to the profile. And for the most part, that's it. That's pretty much all we're doing. So we have just several links. So we're going to say to the profile, we're going to have a chat. So this is going to be to the chat also with a capital C. And we're going to have one more named trending. So let's just come down here one. And this is going to be /trending. And don't worry about it. We do not have it in we don't have it in our App.jsx yet. These links, we'll add that later once we have some functionality involved. So this would be trending link, and then at the bottom we want something called the logout button, and we don't have the functionality for that yet, but we can just style it. So class name is going to be background red. Let's go 500. We want to hover, and it's going to be background red, and it's going to be 600. And then we want the text to be white, so it pops. We want the padding Y of 2, padding X of 3. We want it rounded. Transition duration is 300. Ease in and out. Let's give it that nice cool transition. And text, we want it to be small. Okay, and now we can give things proper. Actually, so let's work with if there's no user first. So we have for if there is a user. How about if there's not a user? Let's work with that. So if there's not a user, then we want to say link to
Music licensing reimagined.
actually, okay, so we'll keep it at this for right now, and then let's put some functionality, because if we don't have the functionality, none of this is going to make sense. So let's add some functionality, because there's still a long list of stuff we have to do for our nav bar. So for right now, we want to say, okay, so now we can say const is register page. And what we're trying to do here is know if we're on the register page. So if currently we're not, we're on the register page, because this is just there's no /login. This is just a register page. So we want to find out if we're on a register page, and we want to say location, and you'll see why we want to do that. Location, which is this location, use location, dot path name.
Music licensing.
So location dot path name, and we want to say is equal to the register link, which is this. So location dot path name is equal to this link here. So if you wanted to know if it's on the login, you'll say /login. So we just want to know if it's on the register. And then we also want to say const button text is equal to, if there's a user, then we want the button to show logout. If it's on is register page, then we want the button to show login. If not, we want the button to show register. So this is kind of a two-part logic system here. So for button text, just what the button is going to be, we want to say if there's a user, then it should just automatically show logout. Because if you're signed in, it should just say log out, right? However, if there's no user, meaning you're not signed in, then we should invoke this location path name finder, which is register page, and that is register page is looking to see that if we're on the register page, then it should just say login. Because if you're on the register page, meaning register for this profile or for this account, register for this account, then you can't log out. You have to be on, it has to say log in. That's the antithesis. So if you're on the register page and you already have an account, then you can log in by clicking that button. However, if you're not on the register page, that means if you're not on the register page, then it's going to ask you to register if this button is being shown. So, and this button is only being shown based on things such as if the user is present. So now we can just shove this in button text. And now for, so we're not going to be able to see this part because there's no user. There's nothing in our database, so there's no user present at this moment. So what we want to do now is also finish out some other things. We want to invoke something called const handle menu toggle. So this is for the Hamburger menu, and we want to just say set menu open to false. Well, we just want to say set menu open to not menu open. So now we can come down here and say const handle menu item click. So for things within the menu item, for things within the menu, the items within the menu, we want to say set menu open to false. So here we want to set it to not menu open when you toggle it. And here, when you click on something, you want to set menu open to false. So anytime you click on something, you want that menu to close. And here you want it to kind of know that, okay, if I click it to open and I click it again, then we're not opening. Here, we want to say the menu item is false, meaning it shouldn't open once we click an item in it. So if we click profile, for example, the menu bar should not still show, like the Hamburger menu should close out because now we're on a page that we desire. So now we're working with if there's no user present. So if there's no user present, what do we want? We want to say div, oh sorry, not div, link to let's do this. There we go. So link to, and this is going to say is register page. If we're not on the register page, then we want to show it as login. Else we want to say go to register page. There we go. And now we want to add the button to this also. This should say, you know what, let's just grab it from here. So let's grab this and let's add it there. Yeah, that should work. So let's see if there's no, we didn't add our toggles. So let's see. Yep, this should be an on click here. and this should say handle menu toggle. And here
Music licensing reimagined.
we should have an onClick here also. And this should say handle menu item, and this should be click. And actually we can just add this on click handle menu item click to all of this here.
Artlist.io.
Okay, should be one arrow. And the reason is because since this is for where is it? This is for a large screen. Wait, what am I saying? Yeah, since this is for a smaller screen, not a large. On large, it's hidden. We want to say when we click on anything within the menu bar, then the item that we click on, we go to the route of like the link. We go to that route or that link, but the menu closes right once we do that. That's basically what we're saying. And I believe we're just going to be adding the same functionality to the to this one also. So link to, let's see, where is it? Here it is. And we're just gonna add this on click to it also.
Music licensing.
So now let's see if it works. So if we click this, I guess, let's see. So there's no user. Okay, so let's just keep working, and then it will. We don't have the logic right now for when to open and when. We have the toggle, but we don't have the actual menu built out. So let's go ahead and build that out. And that is going to be right here below the nav. So right here, we're just going to have menu open. And if we have the menu open, then we want this. So with menu open, we can say div class name fixed top 0, left 0, bottom 0 with full background black, background opacity of 75. Let's see if we can.
Music licensing.
So let's do this. And z index of, let's go 40. Let's close this out. And now, let's see. We can have this as on click. Handle menu toggle. So does that work for us? So let's see, let's close this, clear npm run dev. There we go. So as you can see, when you click on this, it toggles, it turns black. So that's exactly what we're looking for. Because we have the opacity at 75, it's not all the way black. So we're on the right track though. And then we can do this now. Let's see. Okay, so now we can come right to let's see, we close that. Let's come over here and just have a div here, and this div class name would be object large hidden fixed top 0, left 0 with 64, height of full, background black, text white, transform, transition transform. We say ease in and out, overflow. And if you're not into the into my style of CSS, you can always change it, like I always said, or skip this portion. It's all up to you. I'm just trying to make it as close to what I have as possible. So here we're gonna say menu open. If there's menu open, then we want to translate on the x-axis 0. If not, then we want to say translate on the x-axis full.
Music licensing reimagined.
So let's see if that works for us. There we go. As you can see, it does exactly that. So when the menu is open, then we want this. So going forward, let's see, div class name padding of 4, div class name text 2XL, font bold, margin bottom of 4. There we go. And now we can say if there's a user, then we want to say hi, comma, user. Hold up. Let's use this instead. There we go. So if there's a user, then we want to say hi user. If not, then we want to go menu. So we just want to say menu. So what it's saying is, since we don't have a user, we should just have menu here. If we do have a user, this changes to hi and whatever the user's name is. So we're almost done building this out. It just takes a little bit more patience. So now we can go over to user. If there's a user, then we can say link to profile, class name, block, pardon y of 2, hover, text, green, 300. And then we can add an onClick, and for the onClick we'll have handle menu item click. There we go. And this is just going to say profile. So if we look, oh, this is if there's a user. So since there's no user, nothing's going to pop out here. And we can just bring this down a couple, and it's just going to be, actually, what we can do, it's going to be the same thing here. So you just take all the links first. And there we go. And we have all that. And then we can take the button and that. So now what we can, now we have our button. What we can do is, let's see, here we go. So what we can do now is say, if there is no user, which is what is going to populate here, then we want to say link to is register page. So we're checking to see if we're on the register page. So it's the same process, except this is just for the menu bar. Then we want to go to login. Else, we want to stay just like we have here. We want to stay on the register. So if then we go to the register. Now we can do like that, and we're done. So For this, you remember for the link, if there's no user, we don't need, since there's no user, we don't need all these items to populate here. All we need is the button to say basically sign out. So what we can do is we can just grab actually, let's just build it out. So button, the class name, and this is going to be block, and it's going to have a pattern y of 2, text green of 500, hover text green of 600, and then this is going to have an on click, and this on click is going to have handle menu click. Is it menu click or item click? There we go. And we can close that, and within this it's going to be called button text. There you go. So as you can see, it's going to say login. Should we give it a background? Let's see. That's fine. We can just leave it for right now. So if you want to do anything else to it, you can just go ahead and do that. But for the most part, we're good. So this is all this is stayed in. So we're just going to do this. Now, if there's anything here, you're still going to be able to see it. But for right now, there's nothing there. So it's just going to look opaque. And just like that, I believe we're done with our navbar. So now that we're done with our navbar, we can close out of that. We can close out of this. So we just want register and save. So for register, which is going to be this page, we're just going to do almost the exact same thing, but we're going to say import Axios from Axios. We're going to say import use state from
Music licensing reimagined.
actually we can just do this instead. Import React, comma, use state, Axios, import use navigate from React router DOM. We can say import use auth from AuthContext, and that's it. So now within register, we're just gonna say const. We're gonna use first name and set first name. Use state, and this is gonna be a string. So to make this a little easier, faster, I'm gonna go ahead. Actually, let's do it together. I was gonna go ahead and just copy and paste. Password is equal to use state. Here const email, set email is equal to use state, and bam. So these are the state functions that we're going to be sending back and forth with our server. We're going to be sharing it with our server. So set show password is equal to use state false. Const navigate is equal to use navigate. And const set user is equal to use auth. Yep. Okay. So, all right. So now what we want to do is we want to build out our register form. So this shouldn't take so long because it's a shorter form. So we want to say is div with full, class name with full, min height screen. We want to say flex items center, and justify center. Div, want to say class name, background white, padding of 12, rounded, shade, shadow, and large. So we want a large shadow, and this is going to populate here. Well, it's going to render here. And then now we want H1, and this is going to be class name with full, height full, font bold, text for VMIN, and a padding of 5. And this is going to say register. There we go. As you can see, I still can't spell register. And now within H1, we want to have form on let's just use form. Let's go with form first, and have the class name height full, div class name of padding 5, border of black bottom border, and then text black. And now we can say input class name with full, border bottom, rounded, large, padding Y of 2, padding X of 3, focus, outline. And as I'm reading this out to myself, I know how boring and monotonous it sounds. So I completely understand if you skip through the CSS portion. It's just I kind of have to go over it because, you know, people got to learn. So no one likes to just work on so let's see, this should say border. There we go. No one likes to work on CSS all day, but it's a necessary evil. This should say text, and placeholder should say first name. Is first name one word? First, whatever. So first name, and yeah, we can cap it there. There we go, and that's what we have here. So now, rather than do the whole thing again, we're just gonna take this, but yeah, we're gonna take this, bring it down here one, and this one's gonna say instead of first name, this is gonna say email, and the type is gonna be email. Cool. And as you can see, it's working right here. What else do we need? We need password. That's what it is. So now we can have the password. So this is going to say password, and the type password. So that way, when you type into it and say 1, 2, 3, you can see it looks like a password. And then what else? So we have password. So now, what if we want to be able to see our password? So we want that little box here that shows us what our password is when we type it in. So we have another div here. Let's link this. There we go. And with this div, we're able to say label class name with is full, padding is 2. We have an input here, and this input type is going to be checkbox. So with this, we're able to, this should say input. So let's do this first, and let's see if it populates. There we go. So this is going to have that, and where's label? So here, there's a div. There we go. And then this right below this div, we want to say show password. There we go. So we want to have that. And let's see, do we have all our divs? Yep, there's nothing there. Okay, so now we can start working on the functionality. So let's come back up here. And before we return, what we want to say is const, we want to create a handle submit. And this handle submit is going to be asynchronous. And it's going to say, what's going on? There we go. It's going to say e.prevent.default. E.prevent default, not .default. There we go. E.prevent default, and we're going to set first name to an empty string. We're going to set password to an empty string. And then we're going to do one more thing. We're going to set email to an empty string. And then we're going to set well, that's it. So we need just this. And what this is saying is basically whenever we submit something here, so whenever we submit the form, what we want to do is make sure that all these input fields are clear. So it's just going to be an empty string. So for example, if I put first name as test and I submit it, this should clear to show that that form has been submitted. We're doing that for every single thing here. So that's basically what this is doing. So now we also want to create a form data, and that's going to be const form data is equal to an object that states first name, email, and password. And these are what's going to be passed from the front end to the back end. So we're going to work on that right now. So our logic is going to say try catch, and try is going to say const register user. So the variable is going to be register user is equal to await axios dot post, not a get, and we're going to be posting to /user/register. And because we're using Vite, we're able to do this rather than say localhost blah blah blah, because we already set it up in our configuration. And we're going to be passing this form data. Why are we not passing this form data? Form. Okay, let's see. Something's wrong somewhere. Const form data. Oh, that's why. So we're not. We have to engulf this whole thing. There we go. Oh wait. There we go. So now it's it's local to it. There we go. So form data, and we're gonna say const login user, because remember, actually let's not skip. We're skipping ahead. So we want to say if register user dot status is equal to 200, then we want to say const login user is equal to await axios dot post user/login form. Data. And what they're saying is if register user is a status of 200, meaning we were able to register this user, then we want to now log that user in automatically. So we don't want to register them and then go in and then go to the login page to now enter our login information again. What we want to do is once we register, we go straight into our hero page. So that's what this is saying. So we want to go straight into post login and form data. Now we want to axios.post to login, and we're sending the form data also. And we're going to say if the login user.status is equal to 200 also, meaning the credentials are correct, which if our register is correct, then the credential has to be correct. Then we want to set user to login user dot data dot first name. So that's what our user is going to be. So that's our user is going to be that first name that we give it here. So meaning whenever we come here, rather than say menu, it's going to say hi and whatever the first name is here. So user.data.first name. And we're going to navigate to /profile. Cool. Or we can say else window.alert login after registration failed. So meaning we weren't able to log in after the registration. So login after registration, comma, failed. Is it going to be comma? Login after registration failed. Either or. So we have that, and then we're going to have another else, and then we can come here and say else. There we go. So it's not after this, it's after this one. Else window.alert login. It's just registration failed. Registration failed. In here we're gonna say console.error, and our error is gonna say registration error, and this is gonna say error. Cool. And we're gonna have a window.alert of error.response .data .message. Or we're just gonna say an error occurred during registration. And we're set. So now let's see if this works. So what we want to do is open up our MongoDB. We have to sign in again because I remember I signed out. Next. And log in. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do this, and then we're going to come right back. Okay, so we're logged in now. And what we can do is go to our database and then go to browse collections. And within the collections, as you can see, for users, there's nothing there. So let's try this now. So let's see. For register, we're going to say test 1. Email test 1. Actually, it's not going to work. Test 1 at test. Yeah, this is not going to work because we didn't do anything to it. We didn't change this around. So what we want to do now is add the functionality to it. So I forgot to do that. So here we're going to look for form, and then for the form, we're going to say on submit. And for on submit, we're just going to put handle submit, which is this. So we're going to say handle submit. And then let's see what else here. So for our inputs, we have to say on change, and for on change, it's going to be E, and we're going to have set first name, and here it's going to be e.target.value. So this is pretty much boiler code. So it's not really much going on here that we don't know about. This is going to say first name for the value. And then we're going to put this in as a check, and it's going to say required. And we're going to take all this 3, and we're just going to paste it here. And the only thing we're going to change here is email. And this is going to say email. And then we're going to do the same thing here. And this is going to say set password. And this is going to say value password.
Music licensing
I'm going to save that. So now what we have to do is just add the functionality for the show password. And as you can guess, this one's going to be pretty similar. It's just going to be, there's going to be an onChange. And this onChange is going to say basically set show password. Do we have a
Artlist.io.
yeah, set show password. There we go. So set show, I just want to make sure we spelled it right. And this is going to say show password. So lastly, if you do check this, how does it know it's checked? So if you want to add this checked, and you want to say show password. So now if I type in password and I click this, oop, something's wrong somewhere. Okay, I see what's going on. So we didn't, within password, we didn't actually write the logic for it. So where are we? Right here. So for type, it's not just password. So for type, because remember, if you say type is password, then it's always going to show this as the password. It's just always going to show it these characters as password characters. We want to give it some logic. So if there's show password, if show password is based on this, if it's checked, if show password is checked, then we want to show it as a text. Right? So we want to show this as text. But if it's not, then we want it as password. There we go. So show password. So show password as password. Yep. So if I put test1 show password, that's it. So if show password is active, meaning it's checked, then we want it as text. But if it's not, well, if we're trying to show password, then we want to show it as the text. If we're not trying to show the password, then we want to keep the characters as password. That's the baseline of what this is. No, we don't want to save that. Cancel. So this should work now. So let's say test1 at test.com test1 and show password. There we go. So of course we don't have a submit button, which is literally the first thing we should have. So let's see, which div is this gonna fall under? I'm sure, because it's a pain when you try to figure it out again. Now, so div, don't really need to do a, what do you call it? Class name for that. We can just style this button. So this button type is going to be submit, because that's its function. It's a submit button. Class name is going to be background green, not green, and it's going to be 500 hover, background green, 600, text white with full font bold, pattern Y of 2, pattern X of 4, rounded medium, and focus outline none. There we go. And we're just going to call it submit. Cool. I'm guessing we have to, I'm guessing we do have to style. Shift option. There we go. That looks better. And I'm guessing we do have to style the div. So let's just take the div styling from here, because no, we don't. We didn't style the div at all. Let's see. Did we add anything here? Yes. So I'm just going to take this class name because I don't remember what I used. So background green 500, hover green 600, text white with full, pattern Y, X, rounded, focus this, and there we go. So what we can do now is actually for show password, let's give it class name and let's just give it a padding of like 5 or something. Wait, what's going on? Padding top of 2. Okay, so that's not gonna work. So let's come here and say padding. That's not working either. That's not what we want. So let's see, we might have to use a margin. So class name margin top of 5. There we go. So let's use margin of 5. Okay, not that much. So margin top 2, 4. Let's try that, and margin bottom of 4. There we go. And now we have a submit, and the submit's doing the same thing. So it's our submit within. Let's see. It needs to be within the form. Yep, that is correct. So this submit needs to be within the form, unless it's not going to work. There we go. All right, so now let's see. So test1 at test.com, test show password. If we submit this, okay, let's see why. Let's open this up. Inspect network test1 test at test.com. Well, test one, and let's see. There's a 404. So what's it saying? It's not found. Interesting. Okay, I see why. So if we come over here, well, if I come over here, I didn't specify the port. So I just have proxy, but I didn't say server. So it should all be within server. And let's put this here. Yeah, so proxy, server, and then port should be what is it, 5173 or something like that. What is it? So our front end is 5173. That is correct. So port is 5173, and then comma, and then we're proxying between that. So it's gonna restart. There we go. Okay, close. Okay, so just remember to have it set up this way. Make sure everything is within server, the server object. And then this is going to say port, and the port number is 5173. The proxy is this, and we should be all set. There we go. All right, so now let's try it again. So let's open this up, inspect network test at test.com, test1, and show password, and let's see, submit, and we're good. So as you can see, it was just that error there, and it's registered. So if we go back to our backend, to our database, if we refresh this, we should have that test. And as you can see, our password's been hashed, and we saved the email also. So we're good with that. So for the login, it's pretty much going to be the same thing. So actually, since we have a user now, let's close out of this, and let's make this smaller. So we have a user now. So actually, I guess we don't, because we're moved to the, remember, anytime you log in, you're going to be moved to the profile section. So until you complete that, you don't have a user. So, and for login, what I'm going to do is, just to make this quicker, I'm going to grab my login functionality. It's pretty much the same thing. I'm just going to walk you through what I'm doing. So I'm just going to do this and that. So the only thing I'm not going to be using is this div, forgot password, because let me know if you guys want to know how to make a forgot password part, but other than that, we're not going to be building that. So here we're having the same thing. We're going to use the same state functions. Here we're going to get the set user just like we did in register. So in register, we got the set user also. Here we're going to say handle submit. We're doing the same thing, except the only thing we're not using is first name. We're going to set email, set password, const form data. We're getting these two. Const login user, we're going to say await axios.post/user/login, and that's the form data. And we're going to say if login user.status is equal to 200, then set user to login user.data.first name. And then we're going to navigate to the hero page. So currently we don't really have a hero page, but that's what this is going to say. We're going to navigate to the hero page, and then we're going to catch the error like we did in register. We're going to do the same thing here. So, and then we're going to build this out. So it's the same. You're basically copying and pasting from register, and you're just changing what's it called? You're just changing this to login, and you're changing where is it? You're changing this h1 class name to login. So this header, you're changing it to login, and you're changing this. Yeah, I don't even think you need to change that. So let's see. Yeah, this is going to be submit, but when you log in, it's going to be login rather than submit. And then that's pretty much it. You're doing exactly the same thing. It's just a copy and paste. So I'm going to do this just so you guys can see the whole thing. So you can go ahead and just pause it. Just going to do this so you can see it. So this is the whole logic. And then I'm going to scroll up slowly. And here's the return. And here's the bottom. Okay, so now that we have our login, all we're gonna do is close out of that, and then we can minimize this. And that's all we're doing for login also. So right now we have our login created and our register created. So that's all we're gonna do for right now. So in this one, we did our routes. We actually set up our database. What else? We did the AuthContext. We set up our Vite configuration for proxies, and we did the actually that's it. So we did all that, and next what we're gonna do is now we're gonna create the profile section on our next one and the logout functionality. So that's going to be part 3. So part 3 is going to be a mix of front and back end. So we're going to create a logout. We're also going to create the profile section, because that's where we're going to be getting our user information from after we save it. So that's going to be it for this one. So before I head out, I just want to say thanks for all the support that I've been getting on this project so far. It's been more support than I thought I was going to get, more eyes on it than I thought I was going to get. I see that I got some new subscribers based on the last video. So I'm grateful for that. Thank you guys for rocking with the channel if you're new here, and for those who are old time subscribers, thanks for having faith and just supporting the channel. So far I'll do my best to keep pumping out these videos as the weeks go along, but yeah, stay tuned, and I'll put out the next parts in a couple of days. So I'll see you guys later. Peace.